double DIY builds and double rebuilds and everything going on, it has been a little bit since we focused on the saltwater side of the house. And I'm thinking we should probably start with Predator Bay when you got a thumbnail that says Shark Attack on it. So let's jump right into it. Because today we're going to be focusing on Predator Bay and specifically these guys right here, the sharks. Let's swing around. Okay, so let's just jump straight into it. We love the sharks. We see them swimming around. They're beautiful, but you know, sharks are, you know, they're no joke, right? Even bamboo sharks and coral cat sharks, you know, they're very strong animals. And the reason we have Shark Attack in the title here is we had a shark attack in this aquarium. And if I step back and I sort of span the distance of the aquarium, tell me when you see something that looks out of place. Yeah, all that new base rock that was intended to go into my sump on the 1,500 gallon system, but had to be repurposed for this environment here. And actually, look at that. That big bamboo shark found another way to jam himself in there. So that's another hole I need to block off because he's not supposed to be going in there, because he is one half, this is the other half of the shark attack. So let me tell you what happened. So in a nutshell, the coral cat shark, both the groupers really, but especially the miniatus, and most especially the eel, just aren't out and about as much as they usually were. Only when they think they're getting fed, then the rest of the time they're hanging in this cave down here. But the eel especially is just all wound up in there. I mean, you can see stuff blowing out right now. Big sharks in there making a mess. So what was happening is I saw it one time where one of the bamboo sharks grabbed the eel's tail and ripped him out of there. I mean, in a hard way. And so I always saw it happen one time, but I noticed that they just weren't, you know, coming out and swimming around like they weren't sticking their head out. They were intimidated. Another time I heard a noise and I turned, and the smaller bamboo had ripped the eel out and carried him all the way down the tank. It was, you know, yanking his back and forth. The eel was biting. I mean, it was crazy. So right at that minute, I decided I got to take action. I got to take action now. So I decided to fill in all these gaps in this area here with all this extra rock to keep the bamboo sharks out of here, which I thought had been working good, because what's been happening is all of the groupers and the smaller shark and the eel, they've been way more out and about. They feel way more comfortable. They've got an area these guys can't get into. But I did just see the big bamboo jam himself down the top, so I have more work to do. As big as these guys are, they really can fit themselves into some pretty small spaces if they want to. So still work to do, but that was the shark attack. The sharks are just laying the lumber on the eel, and I don't know, I think they're the two bamboo sharks are just sort of bullying everybody to a lesser degree, but the eel, you know, to the larger degree. So as far as the ray and the horn shark, nobody bothers them. They're good, and for the most part, the blue line grouper, they do try to bother him, but he's a pretty tough character. He holds his own pretty well, and the coral cat shark mostly tries to stay out of their way, but again, he does pretty good. But the miniatus and the eel, the Jumore, they're just taking too much heat from these guys. So, at any rate, that is the shark attack in Predator Bay. So, like I said, I'm going to fill in some more pieces to make it so only the smaller guys can get in there and not the sharks. And but other than that, one thing I want to point out, I wanted to show you guys is on the rock. Let me see. Let me swing around to the backside of Predator Bay. Oh, I love that coral cat shark. What a beauty. All right, let's swing around to the back. So I'm noticing all over the rock, you can see little, you know, it could be aptasia, glass anemones, something like that. But basically a filter feeder. They're really all over everywhere, which is really cool. It's cool seeing that life growing in. There's still that other, I don't know what it is, that's been growing on that front rock, but I figure all of these things are mostly probably filter feeding from the water column. That's usually what those kind of organisms do. See a bunch more up on top of the rock, but it's definitely cool seeing everything to grow in, and can't wait to get it all grown in there. And actually, that's probably too big of a hole there. I probably need to fix that. we just saw the bamboo shark go on the top there, so that needs to be fixed. And hopefully I've got that all sorted out. I just put another piece there today, but I will get that worked out. But for now, let's go ahead and feed these guys, get them a full belly, and let them give the other guys some peace. All right, let me grab some food for these guys. So I think we'll just do some broadcast feeding. We'll put in some smaller pieces for the Miniatus grouper. Let him size up a piece. Doesn't know what he wants. You don't want any of them? That's surprising. Oh, and there's the moray eel poking his head out. So what we need to do is, I need to save a few pieces so I can hand feed the moray. But let's take a couple pieces out for that, and then we'll just throw the rest in for the sharks. Okay, I just took a few pieces out, and I will just go ahead and throw in the big bunch for everybody. We got the morays, already got some. Actually, the way that's sort of swinging by there, maybe the eel could grab a piece. But the oh, horn shark chowing away, coral cat shark chowing away. I was kind of hoping the moray would poke his head out and grab a piece, but I did save a few pieces, so we will be able to hand feed him. See, the coral cat's got a second one, and then the bamboo sharks, I mean, those guys are just pigs. He'll just clean it up. It's going to be interesting to see how big he gets, or how big both of them get, because they are some serious eaters. And they've been putting on the growth spurt, especially this guy. He's just, the smaller one's been filling out, and the bigger one's just been getting bigger. And coral cat shark, he's thickening up a little bit, and growing as well. He's a strong eater, for sure. So actually he's slowing down already, so that's a good sign. So hopefully these other guys can come over here and get some second and thirds over on these other shrimps. And I really can't believe the Miniatus didn't grab one of those ones I put, the smaller ones I put for him. That usually has the MO, is gets that first piece. But actually what I have been doing is giving supplemental feedings to the groupers to try to grow them up some. And then of course, oh, that was the other thing I want to tell you, is what was happening too is, so these guys are well fed, and these bamboo sharks would eat all their food, and then they always would come over here, and you can see there's the moray. They would always try to steal food away, you know, from the moray. I don't know what it is. They would always target to try to pull his food away. So let me try giving a target feeding to the moray. It might be a little big. Let me cut that piece down some. Alright, try to make that a little smaller, see if he'll grab that. He could definitely eat that. Yeah, he could definitely eat that if he wanted to. He might be holding out because when they were putting a lot of pressure, jeweled moray eel, what I was doing was going to the local Great Wall. It's like a Chinese grocery store, and they have raw squid there, and the eel just goes crazy for the squid. So I need to re-up on that. Well, they all go crazy for the squid, honestly. But in fact, I need to do a squid feeding video for these guys, because they just go nuts for it. But anyway, so you can see the problem, you can see the partial solution here. I need to fill in some more and try to find every which way the bamboo sharks are able to poke their face in there. They've still got plenty of larger caves here, and really honestly they can lay between there. And then of course you see the biggest one. This is where they normally hang over on the other side. And as always, the horn shark and the yellow ray, they've just been model citizens. They don't bother anybody. They're very active, good feeders, so really just couldn't ask for more. And no complaints with the groupers or the coral cat. They also are getting along great with everybody, so hopefully we can get this sorted out with the bamboos, create more habitat in here for the eel, give him, you know, different areas to poke in and out of, get him more comfortable, get him, you know, sticking his head out, moving around, doing what he's doing before, so I can, you know, enjoy having him in here, not having him just trying to hide, you know, for his life, just in one little area. I mean, you can already tell he's poking out. He's definitely more comfortable with a larger area there. So once we do get that I think that hole on top is probably the last one, and maybe that in the front there. I'll have to wedge a few pieces in there, but hopefully we can have this sorted. Let's take a look also at the 150 low tech. There's been changes there, and we'll also take a look at the 1500 gallon system. All right, before we jump over to the 150 gallon reef, I want to show you the final modifications to the eel zone over here. So I've been adding more and more rock to block off all the areas. As you saw, you know, the shark just went down through there before, so that's been blocked off. So we restructured the front, that whole backside, and over here, and I'm happy to say that there hasn't been any more aggression towards the eel since then. He's out and about a lot more now that he has a lot of different areas to get away from these knuckleheads swimming right into him. And it seems to have chilled the sharks down too, knowing they can't get in there. So what I did to test it is the other night when I did squid feeding, which unfortunately I didn't film, so I do need to get a squid filming video out. I put a piece of squid in the middle of that complex, and this guy and his big buddy friend did everything they could to try to get in there to get that piece of squid, and they were not able to get in there. So that is a very good sign. And this area here is this large pile of rocks now is actually, like I said, it's been great for the eel, but it's also been great for the Miniatus grouper as well over there. You know, he likes to have, he's kind of, you know, smaller than everybody, so it's nice for him to have a place to retreat to. And of course the coral cat shark, he was already using that space as well. And even the other grouper, the blue line grouper, he likes it too. So it seems to work out for all of them. You can see the eel coming out over there. So it's got all the smaller species. It's given them a real piece of habitat to get away from basically the bamboo sharks because they just are outgrowing everybody. And then of course, you know, the horn shark and the ray, they're fine. Nobody bothers them. They don't bother anybody. All right, let's take a look at 150. Okay, so quite a few changes over here at the 150 low-tech reef. For one thing, you can see a bunch of diatom algae growing on the bottom there. I still need to get the blinds up with just the light. There's just so much light pouring in now that it's overwhelming. But that's a known thing. That's just me not being lazy and getting that taken care of. But what I have done is I have modified the lights. So they're no longer on the brackets, which just didn't reach out far enough. They're being suspended from the ceiling right now by hooks. But what I want to do is put in a bar. That way I can slide the lights forward and back wherever I want them, you know, by using the bar. So that's the future thing. But right now they are spaced out much better on the aquarium, much more forward. So we're actually getting light in the front, and it's just the polyps. Everything is opening up now, where they definitely were not getting enough light before. And what I did was I tested the aquarium with the PAR meter, and so down here the PAR was only like 30, and it was only 100 all the way at the top. So, you know, being suspended, you know, whatever this, I don't know, 6 inches above the aquarium and going through here, I definitely was overestimating the capability of these Kessels to penetrate through there. I thought the PAR was going to be much more than it was. And I generally operate by trying to, you want to err on the side of less light than more light, so you don't, you know, bake your corals. But definitely, I had a lot less PAR light, you know, penetration than I thought I had. So this has actually only been up to this level for a short period of time, because I didn't want to overnight just crank it up and have, you know, just go from too little PAR to the right, like go from like 30 PAR to 80 PAR to 100 PAR to 150 PAR, that kind of thing. So I increased the program each day during the week, and now I finally have it up to levels that are providing, you know, down low 50 to 75 PAR in here, and then 150, 180, 200 PAR up in here. So we're going to give this a go. I'm going to get those blinds up, and we're going to check this, you know, the light spectrum out, and then just keep plugging away and trying to find corals that'll do well in here, you know, softies, easy stuff. And also I need to re-up the cleaning crew. It's been about that 2 years time, so you can obviously see, you know, there's not nearly as many crabs and everything as there used to be and there needs to be, because they would just munch up this diatom in no time. So I also think the diatom was some die-off from some of the corals that weren't getting enough light. So A little bit of work to do here. Add to the cleanup crew, and keep an eye on these corals with the new lighting, and then try to keep adding corals just like before. So for the 265 part of the 1,500 gallon system, really nothing new. The Hawaiian black trigger, he did knock down a portion of the rocks over here, so I did restack that, so it might look a little different. He knocked down this middle area here, and I corrected that. I did look at the par on this aquarium as well, and it's kind of weird because it looks not as bright as the other aquarium, but it does get around 100 par about midway down, and then it's only around 50 or so down there. So I don't have any corals in here right now, so this is one where before I crank these lights up a little more, I want to work on a cooling system, because I feel like it's a little too warm up there in the back where the lights are. So I think I'm going to do that first and then crank these up. But what I wanted to mention about the 265 portion of the 1,500 gallon system is I kind of got an idea that maybe these guys might be moving out of here. So when I build the new basement edition and start building new aquariums in there, I was kind of thinking about maybe building a new Amazon aquarium and then moving the Amazon fish from the 3,000 gallon into the new one out there, and then maybe moving the sharks and rays and everybody from Predator Bay into the 3,000 gallon, so it would go from an 1,800 gallon Predator Bay to a 3,000 gallon Predator Bay, and then maybe moving these guys into Predator Bay, the current one, 1,800 gallons, and have that aquarium have a lot of really big tangs and triggers and angels and then accompanying fish. So kind of a thought. I don't know. It might be something. It's definitely something that I'm thinking about. So obviously I haven't started building that addition yet, so it's a little ways off. But just letting you know what's going through my thought process, what's going through my mind, and that's what I'm thinking about. So other than that, no real changes here. Just a nice, calm, enjoyable tank. All right, the other half of the 1,500 gallon system, the 600 gallon reef slope. This is one where it's really starting to come together. As you can see, all the new rock is completely covered in coralline. You cannot tell where the old rock was and the new rock. The fish are doing great. I just love, like I always say with this tank, I don't necessarily like maintaining, like trying to think about moving corals around in such a deep tank, but I do love the look of the deep tank. I mean, it is just awesome. I love how the fish swim up and down the reef, and front and back. It's just a big chunky tank, and honestly right now this is the one I enjoy watching the most between this, the 150 and the 265 portion of this system. I just love the way this tank's turned out in terms of aquascape and fish. So again, it's sort of like the same situation as the 150 gallon. I just need to start working on getting corals in here and just getting this reef alive to sort of to complement, like we have, in my opinion, I really enjoy the scape in here, and I really enjoy the fish, but we need to bring the corals up to par to really bring this thing together and really make it pop. So as you can see, even though the whole saltwater side of the house was a bit on cruise control with all the new builds going, there were still things happening. There's still improvements being made, mistakes being corrected, the evolution still progressing of these tanks. Now that there's no big builds going on right now, it's definitely a time for me to focus on bringing all these tanks more up to snuff. I think we have Predator Bay sorted out now, so it's more to focus on the corals like I was before I kind of got pulled away. And then, like I said, I am giving some real serious thought to what I talk about with upgrading Predator Bay to the 3,000 gallon in wall and building a whole new Amazon system in the addition. As you can imagine, a lot goes into trying to do the addition, so getting started and sorting all that out. It's a big undertaking, so unfortunately it won't go nearly as fast as I wish it would, but if that all works out, that is definitely what I'm thinking, and you guys have a ton of great ideas, so I wouldn't be surprised in the comments if somebody points out something that improves on that idea, or even something else. So either way, I think it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of flexibility with that extra space. I definitely think I can do. It's one of those things where I actually don't want to keep a billion tanks. Like I'm not a fish hoarder. I'm more into ecosystem. I don't want just a bunch of boxes with fish in it, and I don't want more that I can comfortably manage. I want systems that are connected, where there's, you know, kind of centralized pieces of it to make it easier. So even though it may seem crazy, I got a bunch of tanks, I got a bunch of big tanks, I want more tanks. That's all true, but I don't want infinitely more tanks. I want like 4 more tanks, you know, something like that. I think that'll cover, you know, my needs, so or my wants, I should say, of the other systems I want to set up. So they'll be big, of course, because that's kind of makes it easier for me long term. But it's definitely gonna affect the inside or the current aquarium basement, you know, when the addition gets put on, because I think when I have a chance to build, you know, whole new tanks based on what lessons learned from the current tanks, and having a big open, you know, slate, and they're open space, clean slate, where the room is purpose built for aquariums, so it'll just be wide open. So for the first time, you know, even though I redid the basement, you know, the house is shaped how it's shaped, right? So there's poles and things like that. So this room's different, so it's going to give me some flexibility there. And like I said, just reusing the knowledge I have from all the current builds. So they tend to get better and better with each one. So with these new builds, it should be even better. But it will impact what the current aquarium basement, I think, because, you know, where it makes sense, I'll move something over there, you know, where I never really maybe was ideal here. It's just what I had to work with, you know, we'll see. So that's the ideas for now, and that's the saltwater side of the house for right now. I think the next week we should be looking at the DIY rebuild part 2, because that flooded forest build, it is coming along big time. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon.